Hi, and welcome to this week's Tools Friday series. As we rightfully published earlier this week on our social platforms, that we will be talking about building interlinked resumes and how to use those interlinked resumes to secure a good job position in the various organizations which you're very interested to seek for a job offers, which you saw on various job platforms. So why we decided to take this route this week is because it's almost the end of the year and most cybersecurity professionals will be looking for opportunities to seek for a new job offers, switching jobs, and those who are yet to look for jobs would be looking for ways to write that perfect resume, which will give them the right opportunity, to have their first breakthrough into the industry. And as we all know right now, the nature of the job seeking positions and ads has shifted. Organizations are now more interested in looking for people or employees who have acquired skill set, and not just acquired skill set, are able to perform without costing the organizations much resources to go for various trainings regarding the job position which they of course applying for. So taking that into consideration and the paradigm shifting, we decided to make this week's episode to be on how to write that perfect resume which is interconnected, and also using that resume to get that job proposal which you are keen to seek. So with that being said, we'll get started to demonstrate this week's episode while narrating each steps of every of the descriptions or content of the resume and cover letters, which we'll be reading out to you, and explain why we did what we did, so you can have a perfect understanding on what you should do in building that perfect resume. So on my screen right here, you can see this is an ugly image of me. And right here, you can see the title is a cover letter. And on the left-hand side, you can see the address of a dummy organization, which we just made up, and the date of the resume or the cover letter, which we are intending to send to that organization. Now, when it comes to modern resumes, we know a lot of people like putting their profile pictures, in the resume. This is not a good practice right now with the way the industry is shifting, because resumes should be everything about you, and cover letter should be about what you seek and who you are. So it's always advisable that whenever you are going to submit your resume, you attach your cover letter and your resume as a single file. Take note, your cover letter and your resume should be as a single file. All these sync together either in a PDF format or in a Word doc format, depending on what is the prerequisite when you read about these job ads in various platforms where you apply for these jobs. So once you understand which file format they accept or is acceptable by the organization, then you can also, build your cover letter and your resume into a single file. Now, the reason why you should do that is because you want to make everything as compact as possible, not putting lots of documents, which of course makes you more interesting. As we all know that organizations, when they put out job offers out there, they have thousands, if not millions, depending on the level of the organization. Let's say it's a Fortune 500 tech companies, they will definitely have a lot of people bidding for that position, right? So your ability to make your own resume stand out is what's going to make you considered to move on or scale to the next stage of the job proposition, which of course is the interview sections and all the steps that the organization takes to give that job offer. Now, back to the cover letter. Whenever you're writing a cover letter, ensure it has the title, This is what we call a call to action. So why is this important? Is that when these resumes are sent, in as much as organizations would always have that ideology that they use AIs to filter out resumes. But when it comes to reading your resume, after they've done the filtering and, sieving through the ones that scale through the keywords, which was related to the job ads, the first thing they would have to do is to read the selected files, right? And reading that selected files has to do with organization. If everything is properly streamlined and organized, it shows that you will definitely be called, even though if you don't scale through, depending on your confidence in answering the questions during the interview. But for sure, as long as your resume stands out, you will definitely receive that call, demanding you to move on to the next stage, which is, of course, the first interview section. Now, once you have stated the call to action, which is the cover letter, you need to make your letter or your cover letter properly synced. Okay? Now, why is it important to make your cover letter properly synced is that you want to tell a story about yourself. At the same time, you don't want it to be a boring one, whereby the first impression which you convey shows that you're a scattered brain. So when I mean a scattered brain, you do not know how to connect things or connect the dots, and making things more difficult for the person who is going to read this file, of course, which is the cover letter in your resume, right? And once they are faced with that difficulty in understanding these resumes, they tend to find themselves making hasty decisions of like discarding the file, even though in person you can be a very skillful person that is, right for that position. So in as much as you are skilled, you have that brain power to, solve the problems which the organization requires a person of your kind, as stated in the job proposition. It's very important to have that first impressions, because the first impression is they have to know you and they've not met you in person. So there's no way they can know you or be inspired or excited to meet you in person than the first impression you make, which is based on the letter or the files you send to them to analyze, that tells a better story about you. So now, if you look down here, we started with a cover letter, and we stated our name, Adumekwe Benedict Ikechukwu, also known as Ben. Then you are trying to give them the impression that you are also a very, considerate person, in case if they don't have the right intonation or accent to pronounce your full name, they can call you with something more comfortable, and that doesn't require them to have the right pronunciation. Okay, so once you state this, they're like, okay, this guy is, is cool, he's friendly, or she is friendly, and I think, I would want to know what it's all about or what they are all about, right? Then you come forward and you say, wishes to put forward an application for the role of offensive security. Now, why is this important? Is because you want to ensure that the person who is going to read this resume understand which role you are applying for. Because organizations, as we all know, do not just, put job ads on one specific roles. They might have multiple roles, which they, put out a job proposition out there. Okay. And it's just one HR personnel that is reading these files. So it's very important that you try to help them. It's a way of you helping them to understand that the position they disclose out there in terms of the employees they are seeking for, and that is the position you applied for. And not just that, it also tells them that you pay attention to details, because paying attention to details is one of the criteria, no matter how technical or how smart you are, in getting that job offer. So if you're not good at paying attention to details, it's a problem. Now, once you have stated this, which would be the title you found on the job portal or the job website where you want to apply for the job, then you say at XYZ Limited. Now, why do you state this? Modern organizations, as we all know, subcontract their applications. Yeah, they might put it out there that, okay, they're looking for this position, right? But they subcontract who filters this resume, who reads this resume, and who shortlists the candidate who is going to, scale through to the next offer. So you also want to make sure that the person, if it ends up being a person actually, or a third party organization that is, analyzing these applications for them, they are able to understand which organization this application belongs to. Okay. And it also shows clarity that you have taken your time to read about the organization before you chose to apply for this position. Okay. So once you have said at XYZ, then you end it full stop. Do not, start speaking a lot of grammars. This is a brief introduction about you, your name, what you can be addressed as if they find it difficult to call your full name, and the position you're applying for and in what organization. Now you're done with this stage. It's now time for you to tell your story, who you are, what you do, what you can do, and what they should expect from you if they get to hire you in this position. I'll now further say, I am a seasoned red team professional. Now you can see here, I never use the word offensive security. Offensive security, it's the act or what you do as a red team. But the department or the office that is responsible for any offensive security activities is the red team department, or the person can be addressed as a red team professional. Now, when I read this, like I am a seasoned red team professional, it means that this person knows what he's talking about. It's not just about stating for the position of offensive security, but he also understands that he is in this department and his job jurisdiction will be related to this department. So it can be ethical hacking, it can be vulnerability research, anything that has to do with red teaming job jurisdiction. That is what they are aware of. Okay. Then I now further stated that with vast skill set in pen testing various technologies such as servers, web applications, mobile applications, and more. Now, as a red teamer, this is what I do. I pen test. Now, why did I use this word, or why is this word used here? Red teaming has to do with hacking. Okay. Now, when you talk about red teaming, we have different types of hackers in red teaming. We have the white hackers, we have the black hackers, we have the gray hat hackers, right? Now, when you see this word pen testing, this word is, connoted or related to someone who is between a white hacker or a gray hacker. But generally speaking, from a cybersecurity perspective, when I say the word pen testing, it tells me that this person is a white hacker, of course. Okay, so using the right keywords or terminologies also puts you in a higher position or chance for you to be considered for that position. Okay, then why I stated that I am a seasoned professional red teamer and I have skill set of what a red teamer does. I have been able to exercise this skill set of pen testing on various technologies such as servers, web applications, mobile applications, which of course we know all these are day-to-day technologies used to render services or essential services for end users and customers, and globally even the government uses all these technologies, right? Then after that, and I said and more. Now, why did I use this more here? This more here is like an anchor. Okay, you are trying to make them understand that you can pen test these various technologies. But there are more to this, but to make sure that you don't, flood them with a lot of informations or a lot of talks, you anchor them with a more. So now when I read this, I would like to know what this guy means by more. I want to know who this guy is. Like, what else can he do? If he can do this, stating this with confidence and telling me that there's even more he can do as a seasoned red team or professional or pen testing various technologies. That means this guy knows what he is doing. And he definitely has a lot of things that would be required of us in our organization. Okay. Now, after you're done with that, you can now say something about the profession, how you found yourself, why you find yourself in that position. And I further stated here that cybersecurity has always been my passion. Now, I'm giving this reader or the HR or the hiring manager the impression that it's not just about hacking or as a red teamer. Everything that has to do with cybersecurity or related to cybersecurity, you will always find me interested in anything related to such subject matter. Now, not just the passion, and with over 10 years qualification and exposure. So why this is my passion, I have gone through the rigorous steps of acquiring the experience, which is, cumulatively, or, you can convert this to a number of 10 years in terms of duration. Okay. Then I now said this 10 years was an acquisition of both qualification and exposure. Of course, before you know something, you have to study about it, you have to acquire the degree, and you also have to practice, in various events, right? Then in bracket, okay, I try to make it more expatiating or more understanding by stating that qualification means training. So I have been trained, and that training qualifies me to be a seasoned cybersecurity professional. And hands-on experience, which of course means like exposure. Okay, so hands-on experience can be hacking, CTF events, and more, right? So now I have stated this, I now further say there is certainly much I have to offer your organization regarding the job description. So with all this passion, all this experience, I believe that I have a lot of information or tools in my arsenal which I can offer your organization regarding this job description. Now, this is not just a brief introduction. It's a clear and concise summary which are interlinked, interconnected. And if I read through this information right now, definitely I'm in love with the person who wrote this resume. Not because I am the one who wrote this resume, but the fact that the person took their time to give me a summary of who they are, the summary of the position of they're applying for, to which organization, what they are all about, what they have done, how they found themselves here in this profession, how they got a lot of experience, and of course, what they can do with this experience they have regarding this position if they eventually get this offer in my organization. Now, after I have crossed this stage, I move on to now break down the information to let them have an anchor interest to understand, like expatiate what really I have done when I say I have tested these various web servers and web applications, right? Now, and I say with my comprehensive knowledge and experience, you can see knowledge, which of course from training, and experience from, practicing in the following fields: cloud penetration testing on platforms such as AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and Oracle. Then I did not end it with a full stop. I now said, manual penetration testing of web application built on CMS, which is content management system, and CRM, customer relationship management services, Web 3.0. Then I did not stop it there. I added a comma, the advanced application of AI services such as GPT 4.0, Copilot, and more AI tools to keep up with trends and threat adversaries. I did not end it there. I put out a comma, ability to program with shell scripting, in bracket, for expansion, Bash, Go language, Python, C, C++, PHP, Ruby, etc. Now, this code that I program, I use it for both manual and automation testing. Then I added a comma. I didn't end it there. I said deep knowledge of advanced trick to bypass firewalls using polymorphic payloads. Now, gradually you can see everything is now syncing after the automation testing. I'm saying that, okay, I know how to use codes to, write scripts that can build payloads that are polymorphic in nature to bypass firewalls, which of course, this is for the intent to test which payloads can still bypass the firewall security of the web server or application if eventually I get hired by the organization. And of course, now provide solution based on this discovery, right? Then after that, I now moved on to the core understanding of what penetration testing is all about. I said exploiting of OWASP top 10 with core competence. Okay, I specifically stated where I am good at when exploiting OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities: SQL injection, command injection, docking for exposed credentials. Then I still added a comma, incorporating numerous automation tools such as BobSuite. Remember the keyword here, automation tools. BobSuite, OWASP NetTacker, Black Widow, Nmap tool, Nessus Tenable, OpenVars in various offensive activities simulation. So both testing for web servers, web applications, mobile applications. I can use these automation tools to do that. And now finally rounding up this comprehensive knowledge and experience and the use of Metasploit and mobile application testing tools such as Frida, Cobiton, and more. Now, if you look at here, Okay, I saved the best for the last, which is Metasploit. Every cybersecurity professional who is into offensive security or red teaming has to be familiar or has to get good with Metasploit. Okay, if you're not good with this Metasploit framework or Metasploit tool, which runs on Kali Linux OS, then definitely you can call yourself a red teamer. Okay, so the fact that I have put this together right now, showing what I have done or what I know and what I'm good at, okay, I now broke this into a summary in bullet points. So they are now understanding what I can do. And if this various description is related to the platforms and the tools is related to the types of tools they are, using in their organization, and of course, more tools they want to know about, they certainly know that they have the right guy for this position. Now, one more thing I also want to share with you is that why is it always okay to, break your comprehensive knowledge down like this instead of writing it like a love letter or a sentence? Is that it shows structure. Okay. If you look at here, we first of all said about cloud, then we move on to CRM. So cloud, mostly everything is done on the cloud, including most CRM and CMS services are now hosted on the cloud, right? So cloud comes first. Now, after we've spoken about cloud, we now spoke about this, various services that runs on the cloud. Then we now spoke about AI, how we use AI to follow, modern trends and adversaries that, possibly can be exploited on these various platforms, right? Then why you can find these informations using AI. You can also write, tools using various programming language to automate or manually test these various platforms to uncover vulnerabilities. And after that, you now say that even though you can write your automation tools, you also have an understanding, on how to build polymorphic payloads that are able to bypass, firewalls, settings or configurations or filtering or blacklisting whenever you come across them. Okay, so you can see the sync and the structure. Now, with this skill set from here upwards, you can now exploit top 10 OWASPs, okay, with a core, concentration or what you're good at in these various platforms. So whenever you come across a CMS platforms or a CRM platform that runs on any of this cloud, these are the common OWASP top 10, which you will try to see if they are vulnerable to. Okay, so once you're able to discover these vulnerabilities, you can now either dig further or run them to see how much you can exploit using these various automation tools. Okay, now after you have done this, you now said you can also use Metasploit. Of course, when you want to test mobile application, you need Metasploit and installing some tools on your Kali Linux machine, and of course using Metasploit to conduct whatever pen testing activities you want to conduct on these mobile applications, right? So you are now summarizing that when it comes to mobile application, you know how to use Metasploit and a few of mobile testing application tools and others which you did not, wish to mention to, conduct penetration testing on mobile applications. Now, why did we also put more here? It's like there's still more that you have to offer. If they are interested to know that more, they should consider giving you that call regarding this position or regarding this job offer. Now, after stating your comprehensive experience, you now break it down further and say, I am confident in my ability to uncover vulnerabilities across all infrastructures. Okay. Now, why did you say all infrastructures? Okay. You do not want to limit yourself to say, okay, only on mobile applications. And also you do not want to limit yourself only on web applications. Okay. Because organizations, as we know, they use both mobile applications, web applications, cloud, and more. So you should, of course, have this skill set. It's not about writing this resume as well. You also have to acquire this skill set to ensure that whatever it is that is in your resume, you're able to defend it. That's another problem which we might be discussing after we finish this presentation. Okay. Now, you now say that the infrastructures you're able to uncover these vulnerabilities has to belong to your organization business provisioning. So should in case that you're hired, you are only going to deal with vulnerabilities that is related to the organization. Now, this also gives them the impression, okay, that you also do things ethically, okay? Whatever that is not related to them, you are not going to put your hands in. Of course, you know what it's like when you hack outside the scope of work, okay? It's always a damaging litigation, okay? You get people, you know, taking your organizations to court because they did something that, you know, jeopardized their infrastructure. So you're also giving them the ideology that, hey, you can do all these things, but whatever I'm going to do is just going to be based on what our organization, if I end up getting hired, are using for their business provisioning. Now, you now stated that while providing suggestion on mitigative steps towards the blue team or defenders teams. So if the position or if the situation arises that you need to give suggestions on how to solve these vulnerabilities or patch these vulnerable components, that you are willing to give suggestions towards the department, okay, you're also telling them that you recognize the department that is responsible for, you know, fixing these loopholes or these security weaknesses which you uncovered, okay? And if there are needs that they do not know what to do and they require your ideology or your concept on how to go about it, that you're willing to, you know, give that suggestion when needed. It also tells this hiring manager that you also have the team building spirit, okay? So you can do things on your own, but if there are situations that comes up that you need to work with other persons, you're gladly and willing to go above and beyond to do that, okay? So giving them your word or giving them your bond, you say that this I promise to attain by going above and beyond while maintaining the standard procedures of vulnerability disclosure policies of your organization and global cyber security ethics. Now, you might ask, why did I use the standard procedures of vulnerability disclosure? Okay. The reason is that as organizations get bigger, they hire a different sect of people, and you do not know who is who. Okay, you do not know who is leaving the organization that day which the vulnerability was discovered and who is not in that department. Okay, so maybe when you discover this vulnerability, you are supposed to report this to your CISO and only the blue team department, but you end up sharing it with someone in the finance department or someone in the marketing department or someone who is randomly in any department that is not in your own department. Now, they might be the persons that have the sweet fingers. Everything they hear about, they want to tweet it on social media, right? This is a problem. Okay, when you have done such a thing without this being fixed, somebody can just, you know, tweet this out of being naive, and you don't know who is out there who is also a malicious hacker, might pick up this information and of course exploit the vulnerability before they are even fixed. And not just that, we've had situations whereby a worker is disgruntled, okay? They might not be a hacker, they might not be good on how to exploit the organization, but they can report this on public platforms, and people who are following them who have malicious intent would now seize this opportunity, you know, to exploit this vulnerability. So you're telling this organization that whatever policies regarding disclosing these vulnerabilities when they are found, you would adhere to it, and also adhere to other cybersecurity ethics that governs sensible or reasonable disclosure of vulnerabilities. Now, after saying all these sweet words, summarizing who you are and what you can do, you now say on why you should consider me for this position. Okay, you have spoken everything about your technicalities, your ideologies, the things you can do. You now want to convince them. Okay, now, previously, when you write resumes, we always have this situation where people would craft a tab and say this is soft skills, hard skills. Now, if you read this resume, you can understand that the first description we have just talked about is our hard skills. Okay, now there's a method on writing soft skills. When you're writing soft skills, don't write everything like soft skills, okay? Learn to mix a little words that has to do with hard skills, but of course, demonstrate the soft skill aspect of you. Let's show you what we mean by that. Now, if you come here, you can see that we said on why you should consider me for this position. First, we said you can depend on me during emergency cases to provide results no matter what task it is on. So it means you have this spirit of being reliable, okay? So people can rely on you to always come handy whenever they are faced with situations which they cannot handle themselves, okay? Then we ended it with a full stop. Now, I now said I have been able to hack multiple machines on various platforms such as HTTP, Hack the Box, and Try Hack Me. Now, this is a hard skill, but the way it is written here, it's a soft skill, which denotes that I am hardworking. Okay, so when I say I have been able to hack multiple machines on these platforms, it shows that this person is hardworking, which is a part of a soft skill. But you can see we mixed it with a hardcore skill, which has to do with hacking, right? But the description is a soft skill. Okay, now we now move on to the next reasons why they should hire us. We now stated that in the event of difficulties, so we also know that when you're working for an organization, there will be times when challenges will arise, right? And things will get hot or things will get heated. You're trying to let them know that if such situation arise in providing solutions, you do not relent but push further to determine the answers to even the most difficult problems. So you're trying to let them know that even if the problem seems unsolvable, whenever you're called or whenever you are contacted to find solutions, you're capable of making the right or adequate research to find solutions to that problem. Okay. And once you have given them this word in your soft skills, it shows them that you're relentless, which is a part of a soft skill. Okay. So problems or obstacles are like a bone that motivates you to do more. It's not like whenever you face them, you feel like, okay, I'm tired. I cannot do this anymore. I'm exhausted. No, whenever those situation comes up, it's now even when your superhero powers would now be, unleashed to do further. Then after that, you now move on to the next point on why you should be considered. I got integrity. It has to be commanded. Okay. You command integrity. It's not like you're wavering. It's not like your integrity is based on who pays, who is the highest bidder. People do not have integrity these days. So when somebody comes with a better offer, their integrity shifts. Okay, like, okay, this guy is offering me, a better position, so I would only be loyal to this guy, or I would only be loyal to this employer. Okay, so once you say I got integrity, it means even if somebody tries to offer you more than what you earn, you prioritize integrity over anything and would do anything positive to protect that, even if it is rejecting a lucrative offer. Now, why should you state integrity whenever you are applying for a position of red teaming? It is important that you want to convince your employer that even if they have to entrust you on their facilities and you uncover vulnerabilities that exposes personal identifiable information such as credit card information and other sensitive information belonging to their customers, you're not going to be motivated by greed or some weird ass behavior of stealing these informations and, hauling them on the black market. We've had situations whereby insider threats find out these informations. Instead of, reporting to the appropriate authorities, they secretly move these informations to the dark web or black market and sell it, for monetary gains. So you're telling them that you have integrity. And even if there is a lot of offers that would want you to compromise that integrity, you will do anything positive to get away from that premises. It could be rejecting the offer. It could be reporting to the appropriate authorities. It could even be, calling the cops or the police to let them be aware of, such persons and their evil intentions. Okay. So after you have been able to convince them on your integrity values, you now said, I am trustworthy person in which my previous co-workers and close family members can attest to that. Now, why did we use this in which my previous co-workers and close family members can attest to that? Now, you're giving them the impression that you're a friendly person, okay? That even though you do not work in your previous organization, you're still friends with people who work there. And that alone shows them that you're not someone who burns bridges. People have this ideology that they are an island they can stand alone. Nobody's an island. Everybody needs a support system or a support team. But the only thing is that whenever you want to have the right team or the right people in your circle, you have to do a proper vetting to make sure that the people who belongs into your circle are the people who have the same vision, the same ideology, and the same dream and passion. So you're also signaling to them that you're a person of value, and the people who are of value are still part of your life till this day that you're even applying for that job position. And you're now giving them your word that if they decide that they want to go behind you to verify this information about you being trustworthy, then they can go ahead and contact these people to confirm this word which you have stated in your resume. And now the final part of this on why you should hire me should focus on your ability to be a team player. Okay, that's the bullseye. Why should you end with that is that whenever everything you can do as a soft skill, if it's not boiled down to teamwork, it is not worth it. Because no organization wants to hire someone that when they hire them, they are fighting with almost everybody in the office because they are insufferable and they cannot agree, to anything. If it's not their ideology, then it's nothing. Okay. So most organizations would always be on the lookout for that. Team builder, team players are the number one key component every organization would always look out for whenever they are hiring. And the reason why I would save this on why you should consider me for this position to be the last is that almost everybody that writes resumes these days, start with that, which makes it unbelievable. It's like everybody's copying one another, right? So when you write in this nature, describing it from the low to the highest, the person reading this resume will I can feel the energy of this resume. I can feel the personality behind this resume. I want to see this person not just as a picture in the cover letter. I want to interact with them in person to see who they are and what they are made of. Okay. So after summarizing this, I now said to gain an insight about me, my expectations, and possible availability dates, below is a listing of necessary information. Below is a listing of the necessary informations and documentations validating my presence here in the United States. Okay, now if we look at this, an insight about you has to do with your documentation, your place of residence, where you're from. These are very important that you let the hiring manager to be aware of this, because most organizations have internal organizational policies that they do not hire people from certain countries when it comes to certain job positions. It's not for any other reasons, just for security reasons. Okay, so most people would always interpret this as some weird ass behavior of racism or stuff like that. No, just like as you cannot wake up in the morning and say, hey, I want to go and sit with someone who is not mentally stable, and not just being mentally stable, they can stab you at every trigger, right? So to make sure that you're not dead and the person is also not triggered, you stay away from that person, right? So though racism exists, but not everything has to do with racism, okay? It's just based on the organization's policies, okay? They have this nature of understanding that people from a certain demographic are not suitable for certain job positions. Fine, you might be offended even though you have the skills, you're very intelligent, but hey, it's their complaints, their rules. So just learn to, be tolerant, okay? Accept things that are meant to be, which you cannot change, and, work with the ones you can change. So you're also giving them that you're saving them the stress of scheduling a meeting, getting to meet you, and only to find out that you're from a certain demographic where they cannot hire, right? And it also shows your transparency, okay? Why you should put this information is that a person can be a reason why an organization changes their policy. Yeah, I've seen situations like that where people say, oh, we don't hire people from this geopolitical positions or locations. And because of the way you are and your sincerity in your content or in your resume, they see you as someone who is trustworthy, someone they can lift that permanent ban temporarily to see if you can, be able to convince them that certain people from that demographic are not like that. Okay. So you state your place of residence is the first thing that has to come into play, because most organizations might not also have the finances to sponsor your work visa if you're going to be working remotely, or if you needed to come to another state, it also helps them to plan your salary packages. Okay, so the distance also tells them, okay, this is where this person is based. Should we just send them to the branch we have over there instead of bringing them down to the head office here, or should we bring them down here, plan for the accommodations and other expenses, right? So giving this information is very important. Okay, then of course you state your relationship status. You can say single or married or divorced or whatever things you are. Be transparent as possible. Okay, then place of birth, you state the place of birth. You can say you're from Saturn planet. This is a dummy data anyway. You state wherever you're from so that they can understand where you're from. This also, like we previously said, gives them an insight of the demography you're from, and to also check internally from their organization's policies if they hire people from your place of birth. Okay, now after you have done that, you now state your expected salary. Now this part of the job application is very, very sensitive, and I'll tell you why. Most organizations would not display these values or figures or they are willing to pay for this position. Why others would, display this salary they are willing to pay for this position. So you first have to understand if the organization is willing to pay certain numerations, okay? And this should be calculated based on your experience. Don't just put figures out there because others are putting figures, or know your worth. We're in a very woke generation. Everybody just wakes up and say, okay, I am worth 6 figures. I am worth 7 figures a year. See, being delusional is a disease because it also robs you of opportunity to grow or to learn, which will also give you, the experience that will put you in a position to earn those 6 figures someday. Because you're following some random influencer on the internet or some random page on the internet that talks about how cybersecurity is 6 figures and 7 figures, doesn't give you the right to just feel that because you have taken a training of 1 year or 2 years means you can earn that figure. Be as honest to yourself as possible. You know what you're worth. Let your numeration or what you expected should be based on what you're worth. Now, another caveat is that let's say the job offers requires you to have some certifications, okay? Let's say they say you need to have OSWE, you need to have OSCP, you need to have some other advanced certifications. But your skill, you can offer these services, but you do not have these certifications. The standard or the standard numeration which normal employee would have to request for that position, you should be able to cut it down a bit. Okay. Now, why should you do that? Is because you also want to tell them or give them the impression that you are as honest as possible to yourself. Okay. Now, when you give them that impression that you are honest as possible to yourself, it gives them the impression that it's not all about the money. Okay. The money is very important, but at the same time, you're not doing this for the money, because if you're doing this for the money, you would overestimate your worth. Okay. That's how people who are desperate for money, they would always, put themselves in a caliber where they are not even supposed to get close to, yet alone, boast that they belong to that category. Okay. So if you want to now understand what you're worth, check on various online platforms that list trends or current trends of the numerations they are paying for that profession. Then get that value. Check the numeration or the standard pay that people receive in that profession at that particular geolocation you are. So let's say you're in Texas, right? You have to check how much is an offensive security expert or penetration tester is getting paid in Texas. Okay. Now, what are the criteria for them to, earn such amount of figures? These are common questions you should know how to ask. Not everyone is going to tell you this, but once you're able to understand, okay, the person has to have from 1 to 2 years experience, they earn this amount of money. From 1 to 5 years experience with this and this and this certification, they have to earn this amount of money. Now, once you have gotten that value, now this is where I come from and this is how I do my stuff. Let's say the numeration is $13,000 per month. Okay. Of course, this is the internet. If you've been exposed to civil engineering or any engineering related matters, you will know about the term what we call the factor of safety, which is known as SF. So when you're designing a concrete building, or when you're building a project, you always put in a factor of safety. Let's say you're building a concrete slab that is supposed to cater for 1,500. You can put a factor of safety of 150. So instead of designing for a dead weight or live weight of 1,500, we're going to be designing a dead weight and live weight of 1,650. So should in case that the client says that I want to improve this to 1,550, it's still within the margin which the building can carry. And of course, the building would not collapse. Now, back to this resume. If the fee or the salary earning for people in that position stated on the internet is about 13,000, it could also be a falsified figure for someone who is writing a blog just to drive a traffic. Always cut it down by 500 or by 1,000. So if you're not sure, okay, this is where it comes in again. If you're not sure which accurate figure or value you should put, I would always say you put it in a range. So factor of safety, I can say, okay, between USD 11,000 to USD 12,500 per month is the numeration I'm expecting from this. Okay. So if the organization already internally has something higher, I would also fall into that category. And if the organization has something lower, I have a baseline, which is also negotiable. Okay. Now here, I forgot to add something because this was based on an ad, which of course they stated their salary range. Usually if you write this, always put a bracket and put negotiable. Okay. Why did you put negotiable? Is that should in case they are not within this range, okay, they can still talk to you on what they are willing to offer you, and you can see on common grounds which you both parties can reach to be able to, proceed with the next stage of the job offer. Okay. Now, you also state your earliest notice. Okay. Most people will say 3 days, 4 days, like it's dangerous when you put such offer. Okay. I will tell you why. Okay. In as much as might have been out of job, it's okay. Do not be that desperate. Sometimes desperation can show a weakness. Okay. And once you're desperate, most organizations don't give a shit about, sorry for the word, but I have to use it. Most organizations don't give a shit about your eagerness to work. Every signal or everything they see that is contradictory to what they believe in, they see it as a red flag. Okay. Now let's say you say, okay, let's notice 2 days. You'll be like, oh, so this guy can pass this interview and start working 2 days. This is suspicious. What is he running from? Is he, filing for bankruptcy? Okay. It also raises red flag for them to start doing research about you, because, when people are indebted, or have a lot of debts to pay, it's a problem also. Their application is not done from a place of, I want to work. It's from a place of, I want to pay my debts, which is a red flag. It can be that when you hire them, they can, become a potential threat by stealing from you. Not just stealing from you, they can also be a potential threat that after working for 2 months, they start asking for loans, which of course no organizations wants to be, solving your problems the first few months they, got you hired. Or it can also be that they might also, steal from the organization. Okay. So these are the things that you should not do. Don't put 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days. At least give the organization, the impression that in as much as I know life is tough for me, I know I need a job, but hey, I'm chilled. I just 2 weeks is enough for me to get myself in the right mental state to, get started with you guys. And of course, it also gives you the impression to know what or who they are. So if they are not able to hold on to 2 weeks, which of course is just, 2 Fridays, because I don't count Saturdays and Sundays as a normal day, then it means that they are not the right, organization for you. Okay. So put your earliest notice to be 2 weeks. Now, after you've given them that, boundaries, or you've created that baseline, you can now state your availability dates. So what are these availability dates and time? You're telling them that within this period, you're able to receive a call, communication, scheduled meetings, or whatever it is that they want to do with you. Okay. That's why you should state an availability date. So once they see this right now, they're like, okay, in this period, I think we're free. We can reach out to this guy and see what. Now, after you have stated this, you now say, in addition to the above listed dates, I am flexible to receive a contact or messaging outside these dates and time frame outlined above. Now, do you know the reason why I put this here? I'll tell you why. Maybe the day you stated that you're going to receive this call wasn't the day they read this resume. Maybe after you submitted this resume, they got to read this resume 1 week after you've submitted this resume, right? In their own head of heart, because they are humans like you, they'll be like, okay, maybe this person has, taken another offer up, right? So we don't want to waste our time missing out on a potential candidate, all because we felt this guy wrote a better resume. Now, what you're now saying is that aside this date, if for any reasons you stumbled upon my own copy of the resume during your, filtering or recycling process, and you felt like, okay, I want to give you a call, and you look at this date and time and it has exceeded, right? I'm still giving you, a soft landing here that you can still call me or reach out to me outside these time frames, okay? Now, what does it mean? That even if they skip this and they call you, outside these time frames, you can now be able to reschedule another possible date and time that is suitable for both parties, okay? Now, we have done this. You're now saying, looking forward to having that positive interaction, okay? So, you're also giving them, hey, I'm not a time waster. So, if anything you're going to have with me is not positive in terms of let's know what we are going to do, let's know when we are going to meet up, it's just going to be a back and forth argument of like, why should we, when can we, all those kind of weird stuff. Hey, you protect your energy, okay? I'm looking for a job. I want to work for you, but at the same time, I don't have that mental capacity to, argue with your hiring manager. So if it's not positive interaction, even though if the positive interaction saying that, okay, we've gotten another candidate, keeping it short and simple and moving on to the next candidate is also a positive interaction, okay? So that you also know that they're not wasting your time. Do not, reach out to me. Then you now say regarding this offer and a possible. Now, you can see what we said here, possible. So positive interaction doesn't mean that they might want to proceed with you. Okay, it's just for them to, not, bug you with a lot of arguments or back and forth or your family when you've not even gone to interview or anything. So you're now saying that possible interview here means that if at the end of the day that everything you've stated meets the requirements, you're also looking for a possible interview to be scheduled. You now end the letter with yours sincerely and you put your name. Okay? Now we are done with the cover letter. And as you can see, it's very smooth, very straightforward, and it's just within one page. Okay? Now let's move on to your resume itself. Now for your resume, remember your resume and cover letter would be in one file, and your cover letter should come first. Always start the heading with your name, your full name. Okay? Now the reason why you should start it with your full name is because you want them to know who owns this resume. Then you put your phone number, your email address, your house address, the states and the country, then your DOB. Okay, so this is your date of birth. So once I read this information right now, I get to understand that, okay, this is the owner of this resume. This is their contact number. This is their email. This is their house address. If I want to track them to know if they are actually real or someone with some criminal records. And this is the date of birth, okay, to know if they are actually the age range of, the person I want to hire. Now, once we have achieved this, we move on to the title of the profession, okay? Now, I stated here, cybersecurity engineer / offensive security. So we are trying to say that this is the role we're applying for and it's in this department, okay? Now, once I see this resume, okay, I'm able to understand that, okay, this guy is actually someone that I think knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. And not just that, like we previously said, if a third party was contracted to, read this resume, they are able to understand that, okay, even though they don't understand what offensive security is all about, everybody knows about what cybersecurity is all about. Okay. Now, once that is done, you now talk a brief about your technicalities. This is what we mean by that. You can say, okay, I am an experienced cybersecurity professional with over 10 years of acquired skill sets, both as an intern. Of course, you went for internship training. As a freelancer, if you're into bug bounty programs and, CTF challenges or some community service, and also employee if you have worked for various organizations. Okay. So let them know who you are as a person. Okay. you're not just a person with an experience. You have also acquired this experience in various forms of professional fields or settings in terms of organizations or hiring team. Then you now say, I bring with me a robust knowledge of pen testing various web applications, inclusive of APIs and Web 3.0 services. Now, this should be based on what is in the job description, okay? So if the job description says something related to APIs and stuff, always put it in your description, okay? This also is part of the keywords if eventually they fit the applications into AI first, right? Before they are able to read the hard copy. This is part of what would scale your resume through and not be discarded. Now, not just about being discarded. When you write like this, it gives them insight that, okay, you're familiar with APIs. So that means you're able to pen test their facilities of various APIs. And if they're also running services that is related to Web 3.0s, like crypto payments, digital payments, tokens, and all that, you are able to understand how the Web 3.0 works. And that's the reason why we stated it here. Okay. So remember, once again, this has to be pulled out from the resume. From the job description, not resume. Okay. This is very important. Okay. Now, once you have done, you now say participation in numerous hackathon events and CTF challenges, a higher ranking records in hacking over 200 machines on Hack the Box and Try Hack Me. Now here we have given a figurative value or tangible value of what they can hold on to demonstrate what we described in our cover letter. So our hacking and all those words we said about hard work, even though we have worked for various organizations, we have also been able to achieve in our own private time how to hack various machines on these two popular platforms that are related to penetration testing or red teaming activities. Okay. So once I read about this, about you, it tells me that, okay, this guy is linking. You can see how everything is connected right now, right from our cover letter. There has never been any disparity or disconnection. Okay. It's very important you write this way. Don't pull from, social media or pull from using AI tools. Write based on your experience, based on what you know, based on your skill set. Then try to connect it with what the job offers or what the job requires. Okay. So once you're able to achieve this, it gives them a clear understanding that this guy is the right man for this job. Now, after we have stated the title of the offensive security and describe who we are, we can now talk about our core competences. Now, this is another trick. Your core competences should be related to the job and to what you can do. Okay. So the job would have a lot of things which they would describe regarding the job description. Try to sync it with what you can do and describe it as part of your core competency. So for example, here we say we can hack with both Windows and Linux machine. So let's say the organization, when you start working, for them or with them, they would have to provide their own computers for security reasons, right? So maybe in their own infrastructure, they are not, tied down to using only Windows. They are also capable of using Linux machines. So you make them understand that, hey, I'm open to using Windows to hack. I'm also open to using Linux OS to hack. Okay. Then after that, you also further describe that vulnerability chaining that yields to more critical impact. So you can also chain vulnerabilities to, yield critical impacts in an infrastructure. So for example, let's say when you're pen testing as an offensive security expert for them, and you discover that, hey, there's an XSS, right? You can find a way to chain this XSS and make it, become, something else to exploit the target and, yield more critical. So whenever you discover this vulnerability, you're always also finding other ways to chain it and not just fixing just for XSS, but also fixing for other vulnerabilities you can chain this way and exploit the infrastructure. Because this is generally the way black hat hackers also think when they try to, hack a machine or an organization. Then you can also further now state that you are able to calculate the vulnerability scoring system using the NIST standard. It also gives them an insight that, okay, you understand the NIST framework of, vulnerability calculation, okay, where we have the, does it require human interaction, and all the informations like that. Of course, the latest CVSS calculator scoring system, right? So you know how to do that. Now, after you have stated about calculating, you now say you are able to write a clean report that are readable by both technical and non-technical persons. Now, even if you look at this resume and the cover letter, you can see that this is just like a general description. But while we're still making this a general description, we're still using the keywords or technical terms in cybersecurity that even you, that is not a professional, is able to understand what we're talking about, right? So this is how it is right now. You're also proving your point that, okay, it's not just about the resume. You can also, see this from what I have stated, right? So you can say that I can write a clean report that are readable by both technical and non-technical persons, because this is part of the criteria for a red teamer or an offensive security expert. Then we further stated about manually docking for credentials and files, then use of over 25 offensive security tools. Now you give them the basics, which is including SQL map and DAFox. So now if I read this right now, okay, SQL map is known, DAFox is known. In my mind or in my right thinking, I want to know the other 25 offensive security tools that you know, which I don't know. And there might be latest tools which, hackers are using and our organizations are not aware about. So for you to have an ideology of these tools means you're the right guy for this job. Okay. So always learn how to put crumbs. It's called bait and hook strategy. Okay. Bait and hook strategy is very important whenever you're applying for a job, but this is done with good intentions. Okay. Like I said, whatever you're stating in your resume should be based on what you know. If you do not know things, do not put it, because certain job positions, if not all, requires you to demonstrate these values which you have stated. Okay, so if you're not able to demonstrate all the things you wrote about, it's also a red flag for you. It's something that's definitely not a good thing, even though most organizations will keep this to themselves. But don't just find yourself in a position of lying what you are not, only to be rejected. It also has an impact on your mental health when you face such situations. Then furthermore, we say we can build automation tools using Python, C, and Bash scripting. We stated about setting up comprehensive simulation labs of offensive security related events. So you're also giving them the impression that if a situation arises whereby you need to set up offensive security labs, you're going to be able to do that to test more trending or zero-day vulnerabilities that were uncovered to see if your organization's infrastructure is vulnerable to that. Okay. Then you also now state that ability to teach offensive related subjects. Now, why this is important, in every job you are applying for, always put this key competence of teaching. The truth is that as you go in an organization, there will be some point in your life where you become better and they find it responsible and honest, not dishonest organization anyway. Honest organizations find it honest to promote you. Okay. And when you leave that position, because of your competency, they want someone either equal to or better than you. So if they are not able to find someone that meets or matches that potential, they will be forced to hire someone that is close to that and leaving the rest to you to put the person, in the right mindset and training to, take up that position. So if you're not able to teach, how can you be able to put someone with the right skills to handle that position which you're leaving for a better one, right? So always state it in your resume, no matter what, even if you're applying to sell oranges, nobody's selling oranges anyway, or if you're applying to sell watermelons or whatever it is, anything is that you're doing, as long as you are applying for that position, always make the employer understand that you're able to teach this thing, to someone else. If eventually you're promoted to move into a much better department and it is necessary that you do a proper handover to a new hiring employee for that position. Then finally, we now summarize our core competencies by stating that we can uncover 28 OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities, inclusive of OAuth, IDOR, RCE, directory transversal, SQL injection, large language model injection, which is known as LLM, on web and mobile applications. So it's not just about knowing about OWASP top 10, but you're keeping up with modern trends. Of course, we know that now it's AI, so a lot of command injection on large language model will be a common vulnerabilities that hackers will be looking out for, right? So after we have summarized these core competencies, which of course, like we rightfully said, has to be related to keywords, stated in the job description, we now move on to our professional experience. Okay. Now for professional experience, I will tell you something here. Always write your professional experience as a story. Okay. Now everybody is talking that they want to hire skill. Okay. Nobody's talking about hiring a degree. And as you can see, all this while we've been talking about this resume, we've not stated our academic qualifications, right? Now, I will tell you the reason why we didn't do that, okay, later on. Now, moving back to professional experience, when you're writing your professional experience, let it be interlinked or interconnected, okay? Some people would write professional experience. I was able to install server in the server room. I was able to launch a new laptop for the clerk working on the decks. I was able to connect the phones, and those things are gone. Those era are no more. Nobody wants to know this. With the latest trend right now, people want to see the descriptive nature of what you did. Okay, the descriptive nature of what you did shows them what you are or how you handle information. Okay, if your descriptive nature doesn't show a chain of custody, when I mean a chain of custody, from stage 1 to stage 2. Sorry that I have to bring in forensic investigation into this, but from stage 1 to stage 2, it shows you don't know what you're doing, okay? Or you're a scattered brain. And nobody wants to hire someone who is here and here and here and is nowhere, okay? Now, on our first professional experience, what did we state here? We stated that we were an ethical hacker at FIXITGEARWARE-SECURITY. We stated the state and the country. Then, what was our position there? We were the senior offensive security professional. We now stated the month and the year and currently where we are. Now, this is how you should write your professional experience. The reason why you should start your professional experience talking about the organization you're working for is because they want to know if they are related to the nature of their business. Okay, let's say you say you're an ethical hacker for McDonald's. Okay. To me, the only thing I think you'll be exposed with or exposed on is website and credit card and payment information, right? But if you tell me you're an ethical hacker for a fintech industry, I know you'll be exposed with a lot of stuff, including medical records, including employees' payment salary, including credit card information if they are providing end user support, like people have to use their app to bank in, to make payments. That gives me an impression, right? So you have to describe, your current organization, what you're doing there, and give them an insight. If your experience with that organization, has information to do with what you are going to be faced when they give you the job offer. Okay. So if you state like, okay, I was an ethical hacker at some fintech industry, and they are also a fintech industry, or they are into Web 3.0, at least it gives them an insight that you have an ideology on finances, okay? And of course, they will definitely consider you for that position. So here you can say, we stated that FIXITGEARWARE-SECURITY is an organization that provides services to over 2 million customers across 10 geopolitical zones. Now, when I see this introduction, it tells me that this guy has a lot of infrastructure he's dealing with. Presently, you can see the interlink right now. I didn't start saying I. Don't use those words. And I said, presently, my time as offensive security expert at the firm, I am responsible for protecting both customers and organization internal resources across 1,000 critical live infrastructures. So you want to also let them understand the magnitude of infrastructures you're handling that even makes you, be the, the right person for this job. Okay, so if I'm able to state that, of course, this 1,000 critical infrastructures is something you're handling. Once again, do not write information you're not used to or you do not have knowledge on about, because lying on your resume is one recipe to your own disaster. Okay, so if I write this in this way and I am the HR or the hiring manager, I would like, okay, this guy is cool. Like he's handling 1,000 critical infrastructures and we're just dealing with 300. Also, he can, do much more on our own space, and there will be no doubt or there will be no regrets giving him this offer. Okay. Now, after we have stated that, you can see we use the word protecting here, right? They will now say this protection comprises of PIIs and other trade secrets. So PIIs in cybersecurity is personal identifiable informations, right? And trade secrets, as we all know, every organization, even fintech, medical firms, McDonald's, everyone has trade secrets. So you do not want this data to be out there compromising confidentiality due to exploitation, right? So when you now state that you're able to protect this, sensitive information or data, and also state the reason, which of course is that could put the organization in jeopardy. So when you state this and the reason why you protect this information, it tells them that you really know what you're doing. And of course, you are the right person for this hiring. Okay. Then after that, I now summarize this to saying that I and a team of 10 skilled professionals. Okay. So not just me alone. I work with additional 9 other team members are able to reduce the organization's cyber breach to a minimum of 2%, with data exposed having no impact on business uptime. Now, you see that the nail on the box is that I do not only describe here once again to prove what I stated in my cover letter, that I'm able to work with group in terms of projects, but I've also proven that these are the people that I'm working with. And this is what we're able to achieve, So if an organization experienced 2% cyber breach, and this cyber breach do not lead to any impact in business routines or transactions or uptime, it shows that the organization has a good cybersecurity disposition. Okay, so if I read this right now, it gives me an insight that this person knows what they are doing. And if you look further here, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I did not write a lot of stories. I need to plug the computer and check if this computer is booting. I need to plug the server. No, I have just described what I do. So this I do, it can be on Windows machines, it can be on Kali Linux machines, it can be on Active Directory, it can be on Google Cloud, it can be on Azure, it can even be on Microsoft 365 services, a lot of services. But I have given an information that this is how I handle this protection. Okay, now I move on to state another internship training. Okay, we made this in such a way that you should have experience on how to write from a detailed professional experience to a less detailed professional experience. So if you do not have a high ranking professional experience, which requires you to write core competency, you write it in this way. Okay. So this one is another company. We said ABC Digital Company. We just put a random dummy data. And we said our position there was Web Security Administrator. Okay. Now, we stated the period and duration. So the duration is 3 months. Okay. Now, the introduction here, we said an internship training which lasted over 3 months with ABC Digital Company, full stop. Now, we move further and said the entire internship program involved me implementing my knowledge on CDN services in protecting the organization business website through the migration. Okay, through the migration, what did I do? Migrating, right? Moving the servers through the migration of the internet-facing servers to free proxy servers. Okay, now why this is indicated here is that we're also giving them the impression that it's not everything that requires the organization to spend resources in terms of finances. You're also good at researching services that guarantee security, which do not require any cost. Okay. And most organizations would love to have someone on their team that is able to, get hold of softwares or applications that is able to provide security without costing them much or costing them nothing to be able to achieve such security. Now, I now further moved on that in addition to providing my web security skills, I was able to learn. Okay. Internship is a training. So this is what I did for them, and this is what I learned from them. I was able to learn the organization business logistics and chain of command. Now, why is this important? It's okay. Let's say you eventually have the position as an offensive security expert, right? It doesn't mean you just go around and start testing web servers and applications. When you start working for organizations, you need to seek approvals. Whatever you want to do, you have to seek approvals. You want to buy a tool, you have to seek approvals. It has to be authorized. Even if it has nothing to do with finances, it still has to be in record. Should in case something happen, there's always an information or data that will be referenced that this particular party or persons were aware before you carried out this event. Okay. Now, after stating that I was able to learn, I now stated what I learned taught me. Okay, so I now stated that this gave me an insight into how documentations and approval are to be sought, like we previously stated, right? So we are now telling them that we've learned about this, and we also learned on how to get approvals for various documentations, okay? And before carrying out any critical tasks or events, okay, this year. So first, the company and what we did, training and the period, what we offered them while we were learning, what the organization were able to teach us, and what we're able to, achieve from this learning, okay? Now, while we have concluded this 1, 2, 3, 4 stages, we now summarize it that by me migrating their website to this proxy service, this is what we're able to achieve. ABC Digital Company was able to overcome numerous DDoS attacks, hitting their web application platform, and still kept in touch with me in gratitude for saving their business. Of course, website. You cannot just be using website all the time, right? So be creative with your words. So now, what am I trying to state here is that after I was able to do this and concluded my training, the company still, from time to time, reach out to me to show appreciation, to keep in touch with me, to ask for more information on what to do to keep on protecting their website. So it shows that I was not only able to do this in terms of achieving web security for them, I was able to learn and I was able to build a good, sustainable relationship. So these are other parts of the resume. I will just leave it here, not to waste time. Here you can see we wrote about summer holidays. This is how you can write freelancing. If you're going to write for freelancing experience, here we stated that this freelancing was during our summer holidays while we're taking our trainings, and the organization we work for and the number of customers they were catering for. Okay, so this is another way if you have to write as a freelancer. And of course, remember again, this is based on what you have done. Okay, if you have not done any of this, please refrain from writing things that you do not have experience on. It shows how dishonest you are. And if you're dishonest, people would not want to associate themselves with you. Okay, so always refrain from that. Forget about these false informations you always receive. Write about the job and go and learn it. Trust me, if you have worked in various corporate organizations, getting the job is just the foundation. Trust me, when you get in, you will be dealing with a lot of infrastructures that might overwhelm you, that if you're not strong enough, you might find yourself running away from that position. Because your mental health, your self-will, your energy, what you know, cannot be able to handle what you're exposed to. Okay, so only write based on what you know or what you experience, that even eventually that the organization considers you without much experience, they would have an idea of the capacity of training or the duration of months you have to spend with them before they expose you to their critical infrastructure. Okay, because when you lie and they just pick you up and just expose you, right, and you end up becoming the reason why the business fails, you also will not forgive yourself, right? Because your lies were the reason why they were able to face such difficulties, which might have never been, experienced before they hired you. Okay, so this is one way to write for freelancing. This is another way for writing for internship. This one has to do with IoT devices. So IoT is known as Internet of Things. Okay, so I'm not going to read much about this, but looking at this right now, you can see the information, right? We still follow the structure, the company, the location, what we did, what was our job jurisdiction, the period in terms of the year which it was done, the duration in months, and what we did. And you can see they are all interlinked. Okay, this is another one on how to write internship. Okay, you can also go through this. You can screenshot this and just read through this and focus on the keywords which we highlighted and pick up the meaning we are trying to convey here. Okay, so no need to read all this. You already understood what we were saying from the previous we described here. So now let's now move on to academic qualifications. Okay, so after you have described everything about your professional experience, okay, most people will write, just flood everywhere with information about events, certifications. Don't do that. Okay, you will be presenting these documents when they want to verify. Let them use their eyes to, fit themselves with whatever information they want to extract from those documents. Don't start telling stories about your certifications. Okay, now you can see how we said education, event, awards, certifications, and socials. So this is the order of the information. So this is education. Okay, Events, you can see we now put it events. Awards, you can see awards. Certification, you can see cert. And socials, then our socials. Okay, so here the order you should write is that if it's a university or college, you start with university, the name of the university, the country, the year of your study. Then you now put the certification. Is it a bachelor's degree? Is it an HND degree? Is it just a college degree? Then after that, you separate it with a vertical pipeline. Then you state CGPA. You state your CGPA. Then you put a vertical pipeline overward. So if let's say this over a 5.0 CGPA, I'll put a 3.49 here over a 5.0. Okay. And you can see this is the same thing we did here. We stated the college, then we stated the country. Remember, once again, these are dummy data. They are not real universities. Okay. Just for description. And the period, what we obtained a diploma in computer systems and system administrator, our CGPA, and over what 4.0, right? Then for certifications, we stated that we had to attend an event, the year, and of course we also stated that it's an event. Then for other qualifications, we stated that okay, we had awards during our academic year. We stated it's an astounding student, all SEM. So all SEM here means all semesters. Which is the duration of our academic study. You see here 2019 to 2022, and we put it here, right? Remember, once again, these are dummy daters, and we now state that it's an award, which is of course award. Then here we use CCNA 1, CCNA 2. We stated what the certification is all about. Then the year we had it, and of course we stated it's a cert. Okay, so here is where you put all your certifications. You just put it. Don't flood information. Don't cluster informations in resumes and cover letters. Okay, make it as simple as possible. Then, of course, you must have a social. Every organization wants to know the nature of the person they are hiring. Are they mentally fit? Are they always on social media picking fights? Are they always having something positive about themselves out there? Or are they some loose mouths that everything they have or experience, they post it on social media, which might also put them in a situation whereby they would have someone that will be exposing their technologies or what they do in their infrastructure. So if you know you have a bad social media presence, you refrain from that, because I see no reasons why you should be out there, fighting with some random strangers you do not know. You'll see some horrible comments. You'll see some people making some horrible statements on some random persons they do not know, all because they have the social media. So if you're those type of persons and you're looking for a job, please refrain from putting those social media handles which you use in, picking up fights with random strangers. Okay. I'm not your moral compass. I'm not going to be advising you on what is right or what is wrong, but just for your own good, don't put social medias where you pick up fights with people. Okay. Stay away from it. And if you have a good social media presence, or if you have a social media where you post something that is related to IT, just like I do, you can put it in your resume and, conclude it like that. So now, that being said, if you look at the entire document we have stated a cover letter and a resume with our core experience. And this entire document with all this detailed information only took 3 pages. See? So if I am the one that comes across this resume and cover letter, I know that, wow, this is a good guy. Like, this guy knows how to, make a mountain fit into a paper. Okay. So if I have information that consists of 10,000 pages and I want this guy to summarize it for me into 10 or 20 pages, he is the right guy that I can, pick up to do this. Okay. So, it's not difficult, and it's also comes with experience. Honestly, I have to tell you, because this is based on my exposure, handling a lot of, things, which I would also not state, that made me understand a lot of things that I see out there. And I feel like this is a way of us helping you to, have that breakthrough, this coming year. Okay, so with what you have learned today with our Tools Friday series of writing an interlinked resume, I hope you're able to build something based on your experience. First, you have to consider the job description if you have the right qualification, for that position. If you do not, please refrain from that. Look for jobs that are related to the qualifications you have. 2, always write your experience first, not your academic qualifications, okay? 2, always write interlinked resumes based on your capabilities, okay? So once you're able to write this, ensure that they are very clear, interconnected, and right from your cover letter down to the end of your resume, there should be no boring strategy or linking, okay? So everything has to be related. So if I read A and B, C, and D, I'm able to, link them in a symmetric order, okay? And make a meaning out of it, okay? And lastly, always be polite, okay? Attach all the necessary documents, be polite about it. And when you're communicating with the employer, make sure that you are also confident in yourself. It's very important is that some people are very good at writing, but they are not confident. Some people are confident, but they are not good in writing. So if you have both blessings, you should be grateful to God, which of course I am so grateful to God that I do have it. So if you have it, be grateful. If you do not, try and work on what you lack. So if you lack the skills of writing, learn how to write. If you lack the skill of verbal confidence, learn how to be verbally confident. And making mistakes is part of life. So do not be afraid of making mistakes. I tell you the truth. If you're not afraid of making mistakes, trust me, you're halfway to your success. Okay? So with that being said, this video probably will be almost close to 2 hours. I'm not sure, but this is what we plan this week to do for you. Instead of giving you tools, hack, and stuff like that, not everybody is going to be good at bug bounty, and not everybody is going to be patient to get a bug bounty reward, especially for those who are going through some financial challenges, okay? So we decided to take this route. And even though the video would cost us a lot of strength and energy to do, edit, and stuff, we're still happy and we're proud that we're able to make this for you on this week's episode of Tools Friday. So with that being said, we have come to an end of this week's episode. If you find this video interesting, please do not hesitate to give us a like by hitting that thumbs up button, subscribe by hitting that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to get notified when next we post another episode on Tools Friday series with FIXITGEARWARE-SECURITY. Thanks for watching and see you next week. Bye for now.